The 15-Point Plan is part of the Win, Make, Give podcast network.
Welcome to the 15-Point Plan podcast. My name is Ryan Park Greigg, and as always, I am joined with my co-host, Jacqueline Smith. Today, we're doing it again, Jacqueline. We are diving into the 15-Point Plan yet again, 1 week yet again, following the plan yet again, looking at all these simple little things like drinking water, like your nutrition, like journaling, like mindfulness, all these little things that some people might say, you know what, dang it, Jacqueline, it's boring.
They might say that. I sometimes I get bored with it. But today we are going to give you something that you probably don't even know that you need. And that is permission to be boring. Right,
That's
Ryan?
right. 100%. And we came across a video recently that our company was studying. And I've shared this with a handful of people. And I think that everybody should go watch this. It's called Boring Before Brilliance. It's a 4-minute video. You've got time to go watch this. And I promise you it will be worth your time. And it's a video about a baseball player. Now, I actually grew up playing baseball, Jacqueline, and I was a pitcher. I was not as good of a pitcher as this gentleman named Paul Skeens, though. So this video is called Boring Before Brilliance. And it is a 4-minute video of how Paul Skeens has built his career. This gentleman is only 22 years old. He is a pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He started his MLB, Major League Baseball career just last year. And when he signed with the Pirates, his annual salary, about $800,000 a year, not bad. But his signing bonus, Jacqueline, $9.2 million. 22 years old, first year in the major leagues. So what this video does is it talks about his routine. It talks about his boring routine. And he says, look, I've done the same thing every day. What he did was he played baseball with the Air Force. And I think that's where he learned a lot of the repetition, was going through the Air Force. His instructor back then said, look, we did the same thing every day, all day, every day. He built that repetition. Then he took that and he applied that to college baseball with his coach. And his coach had him do the same thing every day, day after day, day after day. They said the average baseball pitcher was spending 20 to 30 minutes warming up before they would go out and throw the ball. Paul's warm-up was 2 to 2.5 hours every single day. And it reminded Jacqueline and I of the things that we do, like maybe eating the exact same breakfast every day, like maybe going to the same gym every day, like maybe sitting down in mindfulness every single day, like maybe writing in your journal every single day. That when you don't do that, you might look and think, well, what the heck do you write about every day, Ryan? Or how do you eat the same thing every day? But what we realized was that when we do these things every single day and when we build these habits every single day that are kind of boring, Jacqueline and I both thought that's when we feel the best, right?
Absolutely. I was just thinking about this the other day before that video got shared about how I feel better when I'm just doing my same, routine throughout my days, my same meal plan. I'm doing things at the same time. And I think there's something to be said for boring. And I think when you look at some of the highest earners, not that that's always the goal, but when you look at people who are earning more, we assume that they live like these exciting lives where they're constantly like jet setting all over. But even look at Warren Buffett. I know I've studied him a little bit. Like he's the same too. He does the same thing every day. Like it's quite boring, right? And so I think there's a correlation there that we always want the exciting new thing, but there's something to be said for the consistent things that we really get bored with, but those are the very things that typically get us to where we want to go.
That's right. And as I think of that, don't get me wrong, I love going out to dinner with friends. But if I go out to dinner a couple nights a week, I feel a little off. Because I'm eating food that maybe I didn't plan. I'm falling off my nutrition goals a little bit. Now, that said, I'm building time with friends. I'm spending times. I'm building time with my community. So is there a give and a take to that? Of course. But what I learned in watching that video was it's about repetition. It's about doing the same things over and over and over again. And of course, he does that 8 months out of the year. So in his off season, yeah, he's doing things a little bit different. You got to have your off season. You got to have your time to do some different things as well. But what we've learned is if we really want to have the most amount of energy and the least amount of stress in our lives, it can be kind
Yeah.
of boring. But with that boring, again, comes brilliance.
Yeah, I think chasing excitement actually kills momentum. It kills results because momentum comes from a repetitive action, right? If you think of anything like, I don't know what builds momentum, Ryan, like a train
Yeah,
or a merry-go-round, like okay, a train, that's a better analogy. It's going through the same motion, right? It's that motion and it creates this momentum. Whereas if you're constantly switching gears, changing your
hmm,
mind, doing different things, like chasing that excitement feeling, then you never get to really feel the very exciting feeling of momentum.
right. Right. In the real estate business, we talk about the two C's of being coachable and being consistent. And when you do those two things, you get the compound interest effect. And what I see a lot of the times and what I've been guilty of is I'll try something for 30 days and then I'll switch and I'll try the next diet or weight gaining plan. And then I'll go, it's not working. Let me switch. And then I'll try the next workout. And let me do this workout for 30 days and then I'll switch. And I'm never really actually building that consistency. That's why I
Mhm,
love looking at things more over 100 days or maybe
mhm,
over a year. When we set out to do this podcast, I said, I'm going to do this for a year minimum. When
mhm,
I did the health call with our company, I said, I'm going to do this for a year minimum. And when we look at longer term things and we set us up for that consistency, and that's where we really see the results. So the question for the listeners is what on that 15-point plan can we schedule regularly and be okay with it being boring because we know the results that are going to come. So again, for example, are your meals kind of boring? I
mhm.
think our meals maybe 5, 6 days out of the week are going to be kind of boring. In fact, Jacqueline, I have a guest that I really want to interview. He's a bodybuilder and him and I kind of know each other through the music scene. But his name is Riyadh, and he is just this awesome dude. And I'm going to bring him onto the podcast here sometime in the near future. He told me of his 35 meals out of the week, one of them is a cheat meal because he's a bodybuilder. Like he is so disciplined with what he does and how he does it and how boring it is. One of his, I thought, first of all, wow, you know exactly how many meals you have a week. And second of all, one of your 35 meals out of the week
Mm.
is different than everything else. Like that is boring, but that is
Yeah.
discipline. And if you see him in his pictures and you see him in his workouts, you can see the results 100% of what that boring diet actually is doing for his body.
Yeah, when you reframe boring, it actually is a sign that you are on the right path. So if you think of it that way, boring, we think of boring as bad. Like I remember being a kid and I'd like go to my mom, like, I'm bored, and she'd be like,
Yeah.
boring people are boring. Boring people are bored. So it's a negative thing in our minds, right? Like we don't want to be bored. I think though, as I've gotten older, like I actually crave being bored. Like I'd be like, oh my gosh, I want to be bored. I wish I could be bored. But boring is a sign that you're on the right path. And I think a lot of times, like we're seeking often, like I don't know if it's like the dopamine addiction, and we're seeking like dopamine hits or like adrenaline. And I think a lot of times it's like we're we're looking for this excitement in the wrong places. And so
Hmm.
the things that we're choosing that, seem a little more exciting in the moment, they're actually the things that are robbing you of the true excitement of fulfilling your purpose, of being in alignment with the goals and the life you're trying to build. I don't know about you, but I would think it would be pretty exciting if I could, pay off my aging parents' house or send them on a dream vacation where, price wasn't the issue. And I think that sometimes we go after um, the exciting things in the day to day, and then we don't get to do those big, exciting things.
I think you're 100% right. And when I look at these things that are boring, one thing I think about is like somebody like Steve Jobs and how he talked about where he would wear the same black shirt every day. That's super freaking boring as I'm wearing a black shirt. Like that is super boring. But the
Mhm.
reason he does things like that is to eliminate the thinking power. And when
Mhm.
you make the same breakfast most mornings, when you have the same process most mornings, when you go to the gym at the same time most days or every day, you're eliminating that thinking power where you can then put that thinking time into the heavier decision making processes that you need to do.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
one of the major benefits behind that scheduled routine or that boring routine comes the success because you're doing it time after time and over again. But in addition to that, you're not having to think as much.
Mhm.
And that's going to impact your energy and your stress level. Because if we're constantly thinking from the moment where we wake up, well, what should I do today for my workout? What should I eat today for my lunch? What should I do here? And what should I do there? You've burnt through your decision making process. And
Well, yeah.
now, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, it's just like you're reminding me of something I heard recently that like we're exhausted not necessarily because we're doing too much, but the level of rumination that we do. So we're just like constantly ruminating on things. And that's actually exhausting us. It's kind of what you're saying, right? Like all these thoughts and decisions and things we're factoring and ruminating on, that's actually sucking energy.
Oh, major energy. And so, what I'm hearing is not only can boring lead to success in whatever your business is or your athletic career or your life in so many different ways, but it's also helping you have a little bit less stress overall. It's helping you be a little bit more mentally aware overall. You're going to be a little bit more with it. You're going to be a little bit more present, probably because you're not having to make all these decisions. Your mental capacity, as Raquel talked about on a couple of episodes ago, is going to be
Mhm.
a lot more full and a lot more capable to make the decisions that you want to that will impact every area of your life. And again, the goal behind this podcast and the plan, give you a little more energy and a little bit less stress. And I know that when I don't have to make big decisions and things are mapped out for me, my schedule's a little bit more mapped out, what I'm going to do, how I'm going to show up, where I'm going to show up. It makes life just a little bit easier in general, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So, I guess the moral of the story is let's be a little more boring, right? Let's do the 15-point plan, not just when we feel like it, but let's build some consistency into our lives. And there's enough, I think, things going on that provide us with a lot of unknowns, right? So, like, there's a lot of things that we cannot control, but there's actually 15 things you can control every day. And they're not the most exciting things, right? But they're the things that, if you do them consistently, will lead to a purposeful life aligned with the kind of life and energy you want to build. And I think that's where we can do real exciting things. So don't trade long term momentum and alignment for short term boosts in dopamine or adrenaline, and let's be boring and like our 22-year-old baseball player who just signed a very exciting right bonus, I
Yeah,
think, from
not a bad payday, right? And remember too, Jacqueline, I think it was our last episode or maybe the previous one where we referenced Sahil Bloom, the
Mhm.
author of The Five Types of Wealth. And so consistency is really what matters. Not having a perfect day every day, not having the greatest workout every day or the best nutrition every day. You've got those A, B, C goals. The A goal is the perfect thing. The B goal is, you did pretty dang well. You hit that 80%. The C goal is, well, I didn't get my workout in today, but dang it, I still got a 20-minute walk in. Keep the consistency. The
Mhm.
consistency is what matters, not being perfect every day. So have some grace with yourself and just do a little bit every day. That's where that compound interest kicks in.
Yeah.
So, as Jacqueline said, the video is called Boring Before Brilliance. Quick video. In fact, there's a whole series of those, but this one was on Paul Skeens, professional Major League Baseball player and pitcher, 22 years old, $9 million or $8 million signing bonus. Not a bad payday, but that came with the boring routine day after day after day after day. after day. So when you jump into the 15-point plan, just remember, keep chipping away, keep doing what you can, do it daily. Even if it's not perfect every day, that's okay. You're one step closer to being brilliant. You're one step closer to having more energy and having less stress. Right, Jacqueline?
Absolutely. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the 15-point plan. Share this episode. And if you know Paul Skeens, share it with him too. Let him know we're talking about him.
That's right.
Maybe we'll get him on the show. We are so excited that you're here and thankful for all of you for being on this journey with us. Let us know how you're doing with the 15-point plan. If you have any questions at all, reach out to us. Probably the best place to find us is on social media. Both of us are on Instagram, Ryan Park Greigg, Jacqueline Ray Smith. I don't know. We love our middle names. But we hope you have an amazing day, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.